Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I read an article recently which celebrated the semicolon. The author agreed that it was going out of fashion, that particularly in the modern speedy ways of communicating in the written word with texts and social media and so on, it had become almost defunct. But he thought it had an enormous value as a piece of punctuation because it enabled you to sit on the fence. If you didn't quite know whether a full stop was appropriate or whether you ought to use a comma instead, you could use a semicolon, which enabled you to get the best of both worlds. It led me in a rather roundabout way to thinking about the whole business of decision making and how sometimes we do sit on the fence and want the best of both worlds. We don't make decisions sometimes for very good reasons, because we're waiting for some more information or something needs to happen before we know what we think is right, or we'd like to consult somebody before we come to a final decision about something. And then delay is appropriate, but sometimes we delay making a decision simply because we don't want to make the decision. And that can be true even if we know what decision we want to make. Sometimes we know just intuitively what the right answer is. I was talking yesterday about the kind of knowledge that enables us just to have knowledge without it necessarily being rational or logical. We just know it. And here's an example of that. And very often our intuition is right, and we come up with the reasons why it's right later on. But sometimes we've worked out what we think is right with our heads by assessing all the appropriate information, taking a little while to think things through and then coming to an answer. And then sometimes we still don't want to make the decision because maybe it's risky or it commits us to something we don't feel confident about being committed to. And so again, we enjoy sitting, well, I don't know about enjoy, but we do sit on the fence and continue to try to have the best of both worlds. But there's another kind of decision making too, which is neither moving forward or staying still. It's a kind of tentativeness. The author of this article about the semicolon suggested that one value it had was that it linked two statements about which the link was a bit fragile, a bit vulnerable, a bit hesitant. And I think sometimes our decision making is appropriately hesitant. If we decide that we want to just step forward slowly, gently, if such a way of handling an issue is possible, rather than going definitely one way or definitely the other. But whatever our process, whatever the decisions that lie ahead of us today or in the coming days, it's important, I think, just to take stock and to, if we believe in God, then to ask God's guidance. If we believe in a spiritual power in the world, to open ourselves to that love and to that wisdom, and to seek to be guided and led as we make the decisions that we make, so that whether we make a decision quickly, whether we make it more slowly, or whether we put off the decision for perfectly good reasons, what we do in the end is the right thing.